Hello dear football freaks, and very welcome to the next episode of Talking K-Town, the podcast where we talk about K-Town. And because talking to myself would be very boring, I am happy that I have my dear and beloved friend Steven with me. Steven, how are you, brother?
I'm doing a lot better today than I was during episode 12, where we had just nothing good to talk about.
Absolutely.
We've got quite a few great things to talk about today. So
yeah, luckily.
We're going to turn those frowns upside down.
That's nicely said. So, but first things first, brother. Always, especially in these conditions, we need to stay hydrated. It's always awesome. Always awesome, but important.
Especially there where you guys are dealing with, well, we're both kind of dealing with the heat. It's been hot and muggy. We call it muggy. That's another word for saying sticky or damp with the humidity. But yeah, it's just going outside is just a pain in the ass. So I would rather be in the basement drinking and staying cool. So
Prost.
Prost.
Prost, you guys out there. And of course, Prost, Steven. Oh.
We should make this a requirement that, you know, since we crack a beer to start the podcast, that anybody that watches this show has to be drinking too. You know, something, whether it's alcohol or not alcohol. But
if you're old enough and you feel you feel in the right condition, have a beer with us.
Yep.
Otherwise, just grab a cold water or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Be safe always.
That's right.
But you just, I think you hit it like a hammer, brother. You said it. We have something very nice to talk about, like even not just one, but two. Two very nice games.
And from my perspective, I have a third game that we can talk about.
Yes.
So I've experienced 3 good matches in a row, to include my my American MLS club, the Columbus Crew, who last week defeated FC Cincinnati in the Derby. The Hell is Real Derby, 3-0. For any of you FCK historians, we had a player named Thomas Dooley that played in the 1991 German championship team. And after he left Germany, he went to the men's team, and then he played for the Columbus Crew back in, I want to say it was 97, because the Crew came around in 1996. So they were one of the first professional American football clubs, and they were the first in America to have a football-specific stadium. So Columbus is very historic for me, both from the Kaiserslautern angle and from being a fan of a local team, and it was really neat, a really special story. In fact, I think I've told Matze this. When I got to the stadium, I opened up my handy and looked at it, and Facebook gave me a memory that 3 years ago, I was with Thomas Dooley and my friend Diana in Kaiserslautern, just kind of enjoying a nice evening out. And it was 3 years to that day for the Derby match that picture took place. And I messaged Thomas and I'm like, hey, look, you know, I'm in Columbus tonight. It's a Derby match. And 3 years ago today, we were together in, I think it was Vogelvoog, a little park there in K-Town. That you can like walk around and everything like that. And it was kind of like, I told Thomas, I'm like, this has got to be good karma. Yes. Yeah, it was 3 years ago. And sure enough, the final score was 3-0. So a great environment.
Even pyro.
Oh, yeah, pyro. We had smoke.
I was very impressed.
The block. I will send. I think you saw the videos that I took a picture of, but
yeah, sure.
It's good for the American football scene, but having experienced the West Curve and German football, the experience in an American stadium it's about 50-60%. It's missing that extra like fire and the good chants. We have chants here, but they're kind of like. They don't really do anything for me, and it's just like we don't have an ultra scene, which I would love if we had that here. We have really hardcore fans, but we don't have ultras. So I think that's kind of a key thing to have clubs that come up with banners and things on their own, to give it a little bit more authenticity to European football, I think.
Yes, but what I saw looked very good because, well, I always have an open eye, to call it like this, and I've never saw not never would be way too harsh, but it was very good. So as you said, it's 60% of the West curve, but you compare it to the best curve in Germany, so come on.
Oh yeah. And I got to talking to some of the fans there, and they're like, well, how do you compare your experience here with what you had over there? I'm like, well, we're playing in a brand new stadium here in Columbus. It's a lower.com field, very modern. It looks like a piece of obsidian, like a black cube that each end is open, so you have a view outside of the stadium. It only seats like 23,000 is the maximum capacity, but it's brand new. And I was talking to the guys. I'm like, it got loud, but I'm like, I'm used to being in the West Curve where we have 18,000 seats just in that one end. Where I think what's the capacity of Fritz Walter? Is it 48,000?
48,000 roundabout. Yeah.
So I told him, take this entire stadium and put that in one corner of the stadium and be that entire supporter section, the West Curve, and it's just it blows your mind. I think the Norddecke, which is where the supporter section is, it's you know the term, it's north or the north corner, the Norddecke.
Yeah.
So they kind of pattern it after German stadiums. I think it holds around maybe 3,500 to 4,000, and it's a standing block. So you have the railings with the cup holders and really nice. But when you're used to hearing 16 to 18,000 in the West Curve, it's.
Of course, but it is a start, and everybody has to start somewhere, and there is still room, but as I said, it looked cool, and you made it to have a derby sieg.
Oh, yeah, and it was, that was the second match. That was the home portion of it. The first game that was in Cincinnati, we were up, I think, 2-0. Or no, we were down 2-0. We came back and tied it at 2, and then Cincinnati won it in like the 89th minute with a garbage goal that I thought was crap. But that's how a derby should be. Yeah. It's nice when you can dominate and win all the time, but when it's back and forth, and one team wins, and then the next time the other team wins, it kind of keeps that derby competitive, and it makes it ultra like you want to shit talk your friends that might be a fan of the other side.
Of course. This is very important.
Which reminds me, I just saw your video on Instagram about you being in Mannheim, and you're saying, all right, finish the statement. Waldhof Mannheim ist...
Yeah, Waldhof Mannheim is...
a club that has never beaten Kaiserslautern since the 1980s, I think.
No, you have to... You always have like the... when you type something on your smartphone, you have like the Vorschläge, the words which come up, and you can...
it guesses what you want to say.
Exactly.
Okay,
and they should fill up the sentence. Predictive, exactly. Text, yeah. And it's always funny what comes up. So it was, for us, it was Waldhof Mannheim is no city in a region. It doesn't make any sense, but the answers are hilarious, and I'm not going to read them because tomorrow, when we have like or tonight, because in Germany it's past midnight. Today, when we're going to have our stream, Bella is going to read them for me, and let's see what strange things the cell phones came up with.
No, I need to give you my entry.
Yeah,
now,
sure.
Are you using because on the iPhone you have like 3 words?
Yeah.
And are you tapping the middle one only?
The middle one.
The middle one. Okay, so
Yeah.
I will come up with mine
Okay.
later after the show while I'm eating dinner, and then I will send the results to you.
Please.
Hopefully I get a good one.
I guess so. I guess so. And when we're talking about good ones, we had our Pokal game in the first round of the DFB Pokal, and we played Rot-Weiß Koblenz, a team which we had just played once against. I guess it was once, yeah. And it was a test match, so nobody cares about it.
Yeah.
I was there, and they were around about, I guess it were 10,000-ish viewers, and roughly 9,000 were from Kaiserslautern, so it was completely in our hand.
Yeah, and another home match again.
A home match
on the road.
On the road, yeah. It was very cool, and I have to say, I've been in so many stadiums already in my life, and also smaller ones, but when it comes to drinks and food, they were so well prepared.
That's good.
I was together standing with a friend, and he always walked out and get us beer, and he was just gone for, let's say, 5 to 7 minutes or something. So it was very quick, and they took really good care of us. So props for that, because they did a very good job. They were very friendly, very helpful. So that was extremely cool. Yeah, especially, I walked into the stadium, right? And I showed my ticket, and the funny thing were, he asked, "Oh, there's a handicap, like a ticket where you have to pay a little less." And I was like, "Yeah, that's for me." And he said, "Okay, I need your handicapped ID." I have no idea how to call it.
Your placard or whatever. Yeah.
And I was just reaching for my wallet to show it to him, and he was, "Oh, I know you're from YouTube. Okay, go ahead."
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. And what also were very nice, I met a very nice couple, which were also from America.
Oh, wow.
And these guys are watching our Talking K-Town on a regular basis, so lovely greetings.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Love the viewership, guys. Yeah. Thank you.
And cheers to you.
Yep. Which, by the way, I am drinking the first can of this year's Oktoberfest beer that's made here in Strongsville, right down the road. It's a fest beer, German-style lager. So we're approaching Oktoberfest time, so I'm very amped to go to our local one, because we have a German band that's coming this year to play at our Oktoberfest.
Yeah, you told me about it.
That's going to be really exciting to have like a German party band here. It's going to bring a little bit more authenticity to it.
Yes.
But I'm stoked, man. I love Oktoberfest. It's my favorite German holiday. Next to almost. I do like the Wurstmarkt in that Durkheim is really crazy too if you're into wine. I don't think I ever left that place sober. So
I guess never anyone has ever done it.
Unless they're not into wine. I don't know.
A funny side story here. I've been to the Wurstmarkt once together with a couple of good friends and my brother. And my brother doesn't drink any wine. And we were running all over that freaking place to find a spot where we can buy beer.
Beer, yeah. And I think they had a beer tent there. When I went there first, you kind of had to walk to it and find it.
Yeah.
Because you have all the little tents that are for the Weinstubers, and then you had the one bigger tent that had like the mass, and I think that's where they had the beer, if I recall. Close to the big Ferris wheel.
Yeah. But he also doesn't want to go into the tent because, well, it was extremely packed. So it wouldn't have done anything good for us, because in like 10 minutes we got separated or something. So we decided to find a spot, and actually we find one, luckily right across from the bathroom. So we enjoyed ourselves
Oh,
there.
yeah, it's handy too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but the game.
Yeah.
I guess it was, if you ask me, it was, well, there were anything. Then, let's say, if we even got into penalty shooting, it would be embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because they're fifth leaguist, and well, I don't want to seem cocky or something, but come on, we're a second team,
That's
league
a team that you have to leave no doubt.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Unterhaching, which is playing in the third league, did beat Augsburg, 3-0, and these guys
I watched the highlights, and I felt really good for them because I remember playing Unterhaching many times in the third league. I think that was a game that they Unterhaching, I think, were temporarily playing at the stadium in Dusseldorf. I think where Fortuna Dusseldorf plays. I think they were playing there temporarily.
Oh, no.
Or was that a different
Unterhaching?
club?
Unterhaching is in Bavaria.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the other team.
Uerdingen.
Uerdingen, that's right. Yeah.
The KFC Uerdingen.
Yeah, I remember that now. I always get those two confused because of the U. I always confuse them.
No worries.
But I watched the match and I felt so happy because that's why I love this tournament. The Pokal is no matter who's in there, you have teams that, all right, it's a first league club against, a fifth league club, and you expect, I saw some scores that were like 8-0, 5-0. Sometimes you get those one-sided matches, but you always get those, we call them Cinderella clubs that come out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
And completely shock the world. And it's like you never know from week to week who's going to be the upset, which makes the tournament so good.
Homburg, which is playing in the fourth league, did beat Darmstadt, which just got promoted into the first league, 3-0. So that was also very impressive, if you ask me. And unfortunately, our friends from Bremen also got kicked out by a 3-2. So the Pokal has its own rules, and I'm always happy to see this when it's not us who get kicked out, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
But we also have been in this spot, so I don't feel like pointing my finger at them and laugh at them, because this could happen. Even Bayern Munich got kicked out once against a very small team, so everything's fine. But it was a 5-0, and luckily we showed that we can play football. And I guess it was very important for our team to have like a victory, which gives them like a good feeling,
some confidence,
and confidence. That's what I'm looking for.
Since last season, they had not won in a long time, and it was like, well, you look at it that it's a second league club against a fifth league club. It's not a league match. But any little thing that can get you confidence, and we knew that it was coming because we both saw, the first two matches of the season that you saw hints of how good that the offense could be. This hasn't formed together yet. There was a lot of good penetration into the penalty box area. It just didn't happen, and I'm like, I think we mentioned this in our last video that these guys are bound to have a good offensive match. And it turns out that, this might be the spark, because they went on the next week, and we'll talk about this match, against the Elversberg and won there with some good offensive plays. So I think it's an important match, even though it's a fifth league club. It's not even a league match, but it's a cup victory. Every team that you play has earned the right to be there, whether they're first, second, third, fourth, or fifth league. They've worked hard to get to that position. So you can't just look past them, because that's how those teams beat you. They're a little village farm team. We don't care about them. And then they're the next team that's going to shock you and send you home. So I think this victory was very important for confidence, for them to play a little bit loose, and to kind of practice things in preparation for the next match, which we won. But I think that was a very good confidence booster for our guys. I really think
Absolutely.
so.
And you just mentioned it that we saw like the first two games, and I don't think that we played that bad, especially when you see, and I don't want to recap the whole game, but I really need to mention this. I guess that we played against Schalke very, very good. Even though we were 2 men behind,
Down. Yeah.
2 men down, we still kept fighting, and we still had our goal chances. And so the result of a 3-0 for Schalke is not appropriate for our work which we put on the pitch. So I guess that it is definitely it was 1 goal too high for me, but it was a deserved loss.
Yeah,
because, well, Schalke was 2 men over us, and so everything's cool, but we showed that we can play football. And we luckily did the same thing on the game against Elversberg, and not to get back onto our back to regular business and just doing good efforts and not scoring.
Yeah.
So I was very happy that we scored, of course, that we were 1 goal ahead. And then we showed again that our defense is also still a little problematic, especially if you see like corners from Elversberg. And let's say 3 meters around an attacker, there is no one who is taking care of him.
Yeah.
And this is making me really, really angry, because you learn to not let an attacker stay alone in the penalty area. So I have no clue.
If the ball doesn't go to him directly from a corner, you have a lot of chance for that ball to get deflected and bounce around. And if you don't have somebody around you, who's going to stop you from either kicking it with your back heel in open space or just tapping it?
Yep.
Because you don't have to shoot a pretty goal in the box; it just has to go in.
Yep.
You know. So if
because
you
chances are your teammate is getting the ball, and then it's in.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's and this is something we're going to probably talk about in a little bit too. But we did sign a defender from St. Pauli. I can't remember his name, but
me neither, because
another
I'm very bad
I think
with names.
Nigerian fellow.
Yep.
So yeah, but back to the Pokal spiel.
Yeah, sure.
You were mentioning
how
you were mentioning how good the gastronomy was.
Yes,
and that's a lot of people overlook that, especially when you travel to different stadiums. You know, we're all used to home cooking. Like when we go to the Fritz Walter Stadium, we know right where everything is.
Yeah.
It's gonna take longer because there's 40,000 people trying to buy a Flammkuchen or any kind of sandwich and a beer. I think on average it would take me, if I left at like halftime, to get to the line, get my food, and come back, usually 15-20 minutes
at least,
with everybody. Now if you wanted, I don't like doing this, but if you're thirsty and you have to go out during the match, it's a lot less problematic, because you can go right down. But it's always my bad luck. Every time I left, something happened.
Yes.
So it's like, all right, blame me. You know, I'm the asshole.
No, I can't count how many freaking times I was celebrating goals in the bathroom or standing in line or something.
Yeah, you hear like the crowd just go nuts, and you're like, yeah,
yeah, and then thank you very much. Why don't you score like 3 minutes ago? Or waited for 3 minutes, but who cares? Exactly. We need the goals. So they did, as I said, Koblenz did a very good job, and I really appreciate their friendliness, and so that was really, really cool.
It's been my experience, and I've seen a few matches. You know, I've gone to games where my club's not even involved. I've gone to watch like FC Erlenbach. You know, these little village clubs that just have like one little restaurant, or you're on the road. Like I mentioned when we were in Dusseldorf, that's where I had my first alt beer. And getting to experience the gastronomy in other stadiums, it's very important, especially as guest fans, because I've also been told sometimes in like Mannheim or Saarbrücken, if it's a derby match, sometimes they'll not give you enough, or they'll shut it down early, just to like, fuck you,
Not just there. I remember being in Würzburg once, and it was like a fucking hot day. No clouds in the sky. The sun was burning down, like really, really extreme. It was like, let me lie, like 35 to 37 degrees Celsius. It was so extremely hot, and they don't have any roof. And we were standing in line for 1.5 hours just to get water.
Yeah.
And this is something completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
Especially if they know the complete guest block is absolutely sold out. Take care, especially when you know the weather is going to be this extreme. Go ahead and
pull up 2 or 3 extra trucks.
Absolutely.
And load them up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen way, way worse than this. Yeah. So I
remember my first away match when it was in Grossasbach in August of 2000, and that was a hot day. That was in the 30s.
Oh yes,
but
that was really hot.
You're not under the sun, but you're in like a we call it a bandbox, where it's like it's a very small covered area, and it's only like I think 8 rows. But you're so packed together, and there's no room for the air to move, and you're just like, it's like you're in a sweatshop,
and the roof is completely made out of metal, so it's getting hot,
it's like
not just from the front, but just from the top as well. It was so hot, but it was a great game, and it was also a home game on the road. Like I think it were like 6,000-ish K-Town fans in Groß Asbach.
And I remember cool. their gastronomy there was very, very affordable. I think for a Bratwurst mit Brötchen, it was, I think, €3.
Yes.
It was very cheap. About this, beers were like $3. I'm like, wow, this is like, you come to an American game and you go to the stadium, you're spending like $16 for a can of shitty Budweiser, and you're paying like $12 for a hot dog.
Oh my God.
If you ever come and visit me and I'll take you to a game, I'm going to say you have to budget yourself to go to an American sporting event, because that's where all the money's made, Yeah,
and I can see that this is like, I don't expect to have like a bar level of prices.
Yeah.
But come on, $16, not 60. That would be
the fans would be burning down the stadium.
I guess so. But $16 is also really extreme. When we've been to Schalke, it wasn't as expensive, and they always they pour out Feldhins. And I don't know if you know, but they have a pipeline straight from the brewery to the stadium.
Oh, wow.
So
you're getting it fresh from the brewery then.
Absolutely.
That's really nice. So instead of a keg. Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, when we've been in St. Pauli, it happened, and in Würzburg it happened, and in a couple of matches, we completely drank their beer. So they ran out completely out of beer, but I don't think that will happen in Schalke, because you have to drink up the whole brewery.
It's impossible.
Oh, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
So 5-0. I guess the result is also okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was too high or too low. I guess it was absolutely fitting, and I guess we didn't play the best, but we played good enough to win convincingly. I guess there were some mistakes that were made, like the lack of defense, and but yeah, that's where I've said this before. It takes time for a new team, and we have a lot of new players. It takes time to get that chemistry, to know how to play with each other, and how to build off of somebody else's strengths, learning how people like to run down the field, and where they like to be, and how they like to get the ball. Who's a good dribbler and who's a good crosser. I mean, it takes time
to learn how to play as a team together.
Sure.
So hopefully, as time goes on and we add more pieces, hopefully the time that we call it here gelling together, hopefully that time is short, with practices and, so.
But I definitely agree, but it needs to happen very quick.
Yeah.
We're still even though we won again. One step after another. So we're in the next round of the Pokal.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy about this because, well, it's getting us money. And this is what the DFB Cup is about. And of course, football is about money. But I think that is very good for us to reach the next level.
Yeah.
And see what's the next competitor is going to be. But yeah, so I'm very happy about this. And but still, as you said, there were some mistakes, and also Koblenz even got like a couple of good chances. So, and I think this is not the very best thing for a fourth league team to have chances against us. So as I said, I don't want to seem cocky, but you have to dominate a team like this through the whole match.
Yeah.
And I guess we did a very good job in the end. So I'm very happy.
Yeah.
And as you said, it brings us confidence. And so it did, because the next match, a week later against Elversberg, it was our first victory. And since the home match against HSV 2-0 on the Betzenberg, it was the first home victory since the middle of April.
Yeah.
And
that's a long time if you think about it.
That was a freaking long stretch.
Yeah.
And I got thirsty, to be absolutely honest. I was a little scared of Elversberg because they dominated the third league so extremely good.
Oh yeah.
There were, I guess, from the 10th match day, there were no doubts that if they keep up this good work, they're going to be promoted. So
easily.
they did from the third to the from the fourth to the third to the second league. That is, year after year they get promoted.
Yeah. And
now we're handling these guys, and they played against Mainz 05 in the Pokal, and it was just a 1-0 for Mainz. So that made me a little scared because, well, of course they won, but these guys are a first league team.
Yeah.
So even though I don't like them, that doesn't mean that they can't play football. And so I was very happy when we scored. So that was extremely important. But the situation for the 1-0 was so confusing. No kidding. We were standing in the block. There was the goal. Everybody was cheering, and all of a sudden, well, a video assistant referee announced that there was
handball,
offside.
So
there was the strange situation. It was a hand play. So actually, we got still the advantage, and we scored. So he could just made it happen. Okay, but Kraus, no, not Kraus. A player of us was standing offside, so he can't give us the advantage because we were breaking another rule.
Yeah.
So he had to come up with a solution, and the correct one was a penalty. So, and Kraus again took the responsibility. Is that correct here? When he's taken like the
shot?
Yeah, when he's taking the shot, like he's responsible if this ball is getting in. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was right to do it anyway because he was the one that would have scored the goal. So if you're going to take that away from him, you owe it to him if you're the team.
Yeah, sure.
To give him
but
a correct shot. You know,
well, but if he's
even though
not
he's
like
not our best, he's not our best scorer, but
but if there would be someone else who is scoring like every penalty shot, I guess he would pass it over and say, okay, let's say Boyd or someone else,
Yeah.
you can make this happen.
or Opoku, you
Or
know,
Opoku.
Opoku's, yeah.
But who cares? The ball was in.
Yeah.
Luckily, and I was extremely happy.
That was a high shot too.
Yeah.
It went up, and I'm like, I think that's how he kicked it. He kicked it up, I think, didn't he?
Yes, and it's always said like having a penalty shot which is going up is always freaking dangerous because you have too many.
You can kick it way over
yeah.
the goalpost. Yeah.
I remember, and I can see it in my mind, where David Beckham has won an extremely important penalty shot, and he kicked it, and it ended up like in the sky. Like completely off target.
It left the stadium.
Yeah, almost. And yeah, so who cares? It was in. But and here's the point. I have always these problems with the VAR because you can't celebrate as hardcore as you want to because you're always being scared of, oh, was there a foul in advance or something? And you felt it after the penalty, and it was in the cheering wasn't as intense as before. But never mind, we have been ahead, so that was very, very good. But then Elversberg showed how good they can play football. And
right after the start of the second half.
In the
47th minute.
They drawed, and not undeserved. To be well, I completely forgot. Kral was standing in the goal for us because
Luther was red card from the week before. He got the red card
in Schalke, and he did such a good job. Really,
he is to be thrown into that situation is he played perfectly adequate for me.
Absolutely,
not a star, but he played good enough, and he took care of business for the most part.
Yes, and I think that it wasn't his fault. These 2 goals wasn't his fault because he kept so many balls from getting into the net, and I'm so happy for him. Because I always think it's a harsh spot to be the second goalie. Well, as in defense or offense player, there's always like changing in strategy, in tactic, in the way to start up a game. So your chances are way higher to be in let's say in the starting 11. But as a goalie, you're almost like stuck there forever. When so many teams have a second goalie and no one ever heard his name. And so I'm very happy that this young guy had the chance to show his abilities. Thank you. And he did it so good, and I was so happy for him.
And that was going to be my next question to you. Is I'm wondering why it was him in between the goal and not Spahic, because Spahic has always traditionally been our backup.
But like a week before the game against Schalke, they changed spots. Like Kral swapped with Spahic, and the reason is that. Just a guess, but I think the reason is that Schuster felt like that Kral is better as a second goalie than Spahic. And don't get me wrong, I really appreciate him, Spahic, and he's doing a very good job as far as I can tell, but I'm not the coach, so I don't see them on a regular basis, both of them, and can compare. You know? But I think
tell
the
you what,
decision
man,
is good.
I'll say this again, and I sound like a broken record, but I would give anything to have Mateo Rob back with us.
Yes.
If not the start, to be a backup, because I think we would have the best backup goalkeeper in the league.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
He was such a vital piece for our promotion to the second league.
Yeah.
So many stops in especially we'll go back to this match against Mannheim where we were down 2 players, or 3, I think at one time, or was it 2? The last
if we got like 3 players off the pitch, the game would have ended 2-0 for Mannheim.
Yeah. But Rob was just like an impenetrable force.
Yeah, and remember the game against Saarbrücken, where we have been 2 goals ahead, and Saarbrücken did everything to score, and they attacked, and Raab kept the ball from getting in, and shot again, and he prevented again, and even the commentator said, "What kind of goalie is this?"
It's like he's using his head, his arms, his legs,
and he was stretching his arms like, what's up?
Yeah,
Come
like
on!
Stretch Armstrong,
Is that all you got? So that was very impressive. A very, very good game. So Raab would be extremely awesome, but let's see what's going to happen. Perhaps he's coming back.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about comeback, as we've been 1 goal behind, the goal was in the 64th minute.
Yeah, Aka.
No, I mean the 1-2. Was it a 64th?
Oh, yeah. Let me yeah, it was 62nd minute with
60 seconds.
Cyan. Yeah, 62nd minute. Yep, Cyan.
And there is now here is the thing where I have to do some complaints about our defense. I was complaining about the offense because I said, like, why isn't Schuster using? We have so many attackers now.
Yeah,
because we bought like Tachi, and we have Ache, we have Boyd. Man, I can see that these guys are not playing throughout the whole game with two attackers, because Ache and Boyd aren't on 100% level.
Yeah.
But just make it, let's say, the first half. It would be such a great sign for our fans that Schuster knows that we want to see like a fighting in offense.
Yeah.
But that was my point. And I totally forgot about the defense, because as I said, when it comes to a corner or something, we made so many mistakes. And Lobinger, I have no idea why he's still on the pitch and gets on it like every freaking time. He is a little overrated, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the only one, but I don't think so, because I read it on Facebook or in the comments under the videos or something many times. And, well, Lobinger isn't as good as everyone says.
Yeah.
And, yeah, this is not such a good thing.
Yeah.
But I don't want to point him out because, well, especially the second goal, the first or the second goal, we were completely running around like chickens. Like,
yeah, Lobinger is what we would call low-hanging fruit. It's very easy to grab and make fun of, so, you know.
But then, we draw it again.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most important things in the last, let's say, 10 games which we had, to show that we're not going to lose, to at least show the effort.
Not quit. Yeah,
don't quit. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. And that made me so happy. It was Boyd, of course. No, Ache.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It was Ache, of course. I can say, of course, because, well, he was on the pitch for the first time, 2 minutes, and he scored. So,
Yep.
And I guess if we turn a little bit more the gears around and make it a little bit more bring more perfection, he is going to be one of the best scorers in the league. It's my prediction.
He will. I think he's going to have more opportunity to be a big cog in the machinery.
Yes,
as I like to say, instead of just like a backup piece. I think he gives us some unique skills. He's also very quick, and he's got a very good he can smell the goal. He's very good to get into that position where he was able to head the ball and bounce it in instead of heading it left, right, or up. He hit it and it down and up and in.
And I feel like he can read the game, which is very important actually for a middle fielder, but as an attacker it's also of course very very important. And I have always the feeling that he knows where the ball is going to be next and brings himself in the correct position. So I'm very happy that Hangen made it to bring a player like this to us, and together with Boyd. Could you imagine, like, and this is what I want to see in any game in this season, hopefully as quick as possible, to have Boyd and Ache at the top, like in the attackers.
Little two-headed monster right there, yeah.
And you have like Opoku and Redondo on the sides, which are both very and extremely quick to get the balls over the wing and kick it in. And there will be always like a bold head of Boyd or a foot of Ache to put it in.
Yeah.
But then, and that made me, no kidding, it was such a relief for me, not just that we scored and we, a third time, to make it a victory, which was extremely important for us, of course, like 3 points having after the third game is extremely important. And, but that Zimmer made it.
Yeah. Before we talk about Zimmer, what did
my God.
What happened?
Like my chair was I can lean back, but I have to pull like a lever, and sometimes it gets loose, and I was like trying to position myself, and see you later, guys.
What did you think? I always like talking about goal celebrations.
Yeah.
Did you see Aka's?
Oh no! Unfortunately, I can't remember.
Like,
what did he do?
It was like he had a sword and he was putting it back in his the sheath.
Oh, like going this?
Like, yeah.
That is cool.
Stood there like a swashbuckler after he's sword fighting, and then.
Okay,
I'm like, that was pretty cool.
That is cool. Yes,
I don't think you would have been able to see that in the stadium, but all the highlight videos shows him running up and But yeah, we got to talk about Zimmer.
That is a very cool celebration, man. Yeah. And Zimmer, the goal, man, that was a laser beam.
That was a laser beam. It Absolutely. Was what always blows my mind is how these kickers. This ball was coming on the fly. It was like a cross that was like way up and over the goal and heading right towards him. The ball didn't even hit the ground. Nope. He hit it in midair with like he had like a bullseye, like looking through a rifle scope.
Yeah.
And it caught the goalkeeper flat-footed. Like he had just moved over to kind of like defend that corner of the goal. And right when he had planted his feet is when Zimmer took his shot. And the goalkeeper didn't have a prayer to get over and stop it. It was like the ball was already in the net before he even saw it. And he kind of like threw his hands up. I'm like, that was just probably top 10 goal of the week, I think.
I guess so.
On kicker.
It needs to be. It needs to be, because it was, as you said, very beautifully. We call it a volley shot, where you just take it out of midair, and usually you do like a side kick, but he was like just kicking it straight ahead, and there was so much power and so much speed behind it, and that made me so happy for him to celebrate in front of his friends, because, well, he was standing in the West Curve. He is a good K-Town boy. Yeah. And I was so happy for him. And was
that his first goal?
For this season, yeah. And it has been a very, very long time.
Yeah, he doesn't score that often. So, I mean, he's not on the field to score goals, but...
and it was a relief for me.
Yeah.
Well, my brother and my stepfather are always like a little grumpy and a little more like, let's say, they get annoyed real quick, especially when you see like the second half of the season, the last season, and you see like we were playing in the last 2 games, to not mention the Pokal match, and they were really angry that we got in behind again, like 1-2. And so they were not as celebrating as extreme as they usually do. And I can see the point, but when I'm in the block, I can't keep myself calm to not celebrate a goal. That is completely out of anything.
Character, yeah.
And when I heard, because I didn't see it, that Sima scored that goal, it was way more important for me, for him having the first goal in the season, also a beautiful one as this one, and giving him confidence again, because he got like, sometimes he gets like, when you ask me, way too harsh criticism. And I don't see why, because he is one of the players which is leaving his heart on the pitch every time.
Yeah, and that's why he's the captain. That's why he's the captain. He may not be the most skilled player on the team, but he plays with his heart.
Absolutely. And this is sometimes, I guess this is way more worth than someone who can handle the ball better, but a guy who's saying like, okay, we're playing against Heidenheim, we're at home and we're 2 goals behind, but we still have 6 minutes to go. Let's fucking fight and do everything to make it at least a 1-2. And this is the spirit which we need on the pitch then, because as you saw, we drawed. And I have to say it again, if that game would have been, let's say, 2 minutes longer or 3 minutes longer, we definitely would have scored again, and we turned it around into a victory. Yeah. And so that I want to see these kind of players. Yeah. Because they bring the spirit in the team. And having him like once, at least once for a very long period, in the spotlight, and in a very good spotlight, made me so happy. Really, I was almost in tears when I heard that it was his goal. Yeah. And it was the victory goal. So that was just crazy.
The way I kind of look at it is, it's kind of like having a member of the West Curve, like a normal fan like you and me, playing on the team. Because like you said, he's a K-Town boy. He grew up supporting our team, came back to play for us. Yep. I do remember the time that we had that derby match where we won, and he was on the bus, leading the cheering. Yeah. That kind of shows you the importance of having that mindset where he, for a moment, he wasn't a player anymore. He was a fan, and he was celebrating with the fans, because everybody's a fan at some point in their life, and then some of the lucky ones get to go on and become profis. You know, they get to play the game. But for him to be able to take that moment and lean out of the bus with the megaphone, and lead. I guess
he doesn't have a megaphone. He was just screaming so loud.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking of the time where he had the megaphone. It was in Saarbrücken, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and he grabbed the megaphone, and I think the batteries ran out, and he's like looking at it, and
thank you very much.
That really gives me gooseflesh to see that.
Yes.
You know? Because that's our guy out there representing the West Curve.
There are players out there like Mohamedou Idrissou, he played for us as well, and he is a learned attacker. He learned to score goals, and he always said, "I'm not loving a club, I'm doing my job." And bro, this is way more important for me to have someone like him to be honest and say this.
Yeah.
Because he was taking his job extremely seriously, and he always left his heart on the pitch, but he would never do like kissing the logo.
Yeah.
But then you need players like Zimmer, which absolutely identify themselves with a club. And the mixture is the important thing. And it is way, way better when you have like a player like, let's say Boyd, which came to K-Town and started to play for us and started to identify more and more and more and more with the club.
Yeah.
And this is just great. This is just great, and I was just so happy for him.
Oh yeah, and he was the one guy when I was in Minneapolis, and I got to meet a lot of the players at the airport before I left and came back home. I did get to see Zimmer for just a few seconds. He was already lining up to go onto the plane.
Oh, okay.
And I just ran over to him and I reached out my hand to him. I'm like, "Hey, Captain," and he was really happy to see. But I got to spend more time. I really wanted to hang out with Terrence because we have a relationship with him now.
Yeah, sure.
And to see Kenny, Prince Redondo, and Hersha, and Dick. That was, to meet those guys was so special to me. Like, I've been a fan of Florian Dick for ever since I came to K-Town and he was still playing. And to come to find out that he was one of the people that came up with this American tour to the U.S. to do the friendly matches. But yeah, Zimmer's one of us.
Yes.
He may be a profi, he may be a professional athlete, but when you take the jersey off, he's not wearing a generic like Nike shirt. He's wearing a K-Town shirt. Yeah. He's probably wearing the shirt that you're wearing tonight. I would imagine.
Probably. I guess so.
And he seems to me that he would be the kind of guy that wears K-Town stuff outside of the stadium.
Yeah. Oh. And I would place a bet right here. When he's done with his career, we will see him back in the West Curve. I'm 100% positive.
Yeah, and he will never pay for a beer in his life.
No, I don't think so. Because he's such a nice guy. Yeah. And I'm always so sad when I read from people that, don't get me wrong, to critique someone doesn't mean to hate someone, to make that clear. But sometimes I think the critique on particular players is getting like
out of hand.
Like I can see. I haven't read it, but just for an example, I can see people writing, "Yeah, Zimmer scored the goal, so that is good," but he was still bad on the pitch. So haters gonna hate, even though what you're gonna do. Yeah. And this is something I have no exception for. To critique someone is important. Because come up with critique is always making you better if you take the critique serious.
Yep.
But just to critique is
constructive criticism is what we call it.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. So we're talking about the same.
Oh yeah. And you can critique anybody, but it has to come from a place where your goal is to make that person better. If you're critiquing him unfairly because he doesn't play exactly how you would, like you and me, we're fans and we like to, like we call it in America, armchair quarterback, where you have a guy that drinks beer and he sits in his recliner and watches the NFL and thinks that he can coach the team better than the coach.
Yes.
We all can be that person sometimes, but I think, when we're talking about critiquing an individual player, I think it's coming from a point where, hey, we think he could do this, or we know that he can be better. Maybe he just needs a confidence boost. Yeah. But you have to critique these people within reason, these aren't.
I'm sorry.
These
Yeah,
aren't.
absolutely.
This isn't like David Beckham or these superstar athletes on our field. These are second league guys, most of which are third league players.
Yeah.
You know, I think a majority of our roster is third league players, with the exception of a few now. You know.
Well, we just afford or bought or whatever you want to call it, or borrowed players from the second league, even from the first.
The first,
so it is getting better, but the main core is still a third league team, and keeping that in mind, I think we're doing good so far. And I said it, and I say it again: the first game against St. Pauli, against a team which were so extremely good in their preparation and in the second half of the last season, playing against Schalke, the team which got just relegated, and being 2 men down. On both games, we weren't as bad as so many people. Of course, don't get me wrong, I would love to have like 6 points after these 2 games, but still.
Or at least a draw.
A draw.
In each one.
Yeah. But when we're talking about, like you just said it's not David Beckham, Bayern Munich just bought a player for 150 million. And they played against, the first match was against Werder Bremen, and Bremen lost 4-0.
Wow.
And now here's the twist. The new player of Bayern Munich alone is more worth than the whole team of Werder Bremen.
Yeah.
That is a fucked up situation.
Yep.
That blew my mind when I read it.
Yeah.
And here's another thing. When the game was on, he got changed out in I guess it was the second half or something. Around, and then the view, we call it Einschaltquote, where the people are watching. You have like you can estimate how many people are watching the game, and he got swapped out, and it dropped like half of it. And I was like, why? And then, of course, my uncle, which is a very huge Bayern fan since his birth, I guess. I don't know what went wrong.
His mom dropped him when he was a baby,
couple of times, I guess.
Yeah.
Or,
right on the head.
Or my mother did something. I have no idea. But he is very famous in England, so there were many, many viewers from the island. So, okay. But back to Kaiserslautern. Now the upcoming game tonight is against the SC Paderborn, and this is going to be a tough one. Also, they were I guess they scored the most goals in the last season. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And these guys are having 1 victory, 1 loss, and 1 draw. So 4 points for them, 3 points for us. So we're very, very tight.
Yeah, we're right there with them.
Yes.
I mean,
of course, it's the starting of the season.
Yeah, I want to see points. You know,
me too.
That's all I want to see.
And we're talking plural here.
Yeah, if you're, if you're looking at the end game, I want points out of every match. You know, I don't want to see losses. I want to see at least a point, preferably 3. Absolutely. And I think if we show the same heart that we had at the end of the Elversberg game and in the Pokalspiel, I think we can sneak out of there with a win. It just depends on how our defense plays, and Luther will be back in the goal. I would imagine. No.
He was banned for 2 games, so now. Okay. But Kral, as we already talked about, he's done a very good job. I think he's
fine. Yeah, I think he's fine.
And perhaps we run into the same situation as we happened like a couple of times in history, where because of an injury or a red card or something, the main goalie had to stay on the bench because the second goalie was better.
Yeah.
As I said, I don't want to point at anyone, but the red card for Luther was completely correct.
Yeah.
No doubts there. But I think it was his fault. Of course, the defense slept, as we like to call it, because he was all alone back there. But still, he can't run out there like this. And yeah, on the other hand, man, if he just got to the ball, not hitting the player, everybody would like, yeah, man, this is passion. So it's a two-sided medal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah. But Kral will do the job, of course. I'm 100% positive.
And now he's had in-game experience, which you can build off of. So, that's a Friday. Well, you said it's tonight for you, but it's tomorrow night for me of the time difference. So I will. I have to look and see if it's going to be broadcast on ESPN. Hopefully, it will be.
Otherwise, go into my stream. I keep you updated.
Yep. I will probably watch. I usually watch both. If the match is on and you're on, I will usually have the match on the TV, and I'll have you on the iPad, and I'll watch both, or I'll have one TV in the basement being the match, and one upstairs being your live stream. So
you're dancing on two weddings, as we like to call it.
That's right.
But man, I totally forgot. I just want to talk about this as well. When we're talking about bad starts in the season, what are your thoughts on Hertha BSC? Because, well, they got also relegated, 3 games, no victory, no draw, 5-0 goals.
They are sinking like a stone into the North Sea, I think.
Very appropriately said.
Yeah.
I was like thinking, okay, come on. To be honest, when I saw the table before the season started, I was like, okay, first rank Schalke, second HSV, third Hertha BSC.
Yeah.
And now they're all the way at the bottom.
And they have a -5
goals.
Goal differential, yeah. I haven't looked at the table too much because it's so early, but
it doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Really. Come on, let's wait for, let's say, the 10th match day.
10th match, yeah.
Then we can start watching at the table. But I always want to see us up, of course. But I feel so sorry for them, and I mean really not like to make like myself a friend with Hertha BSC, but I know what they've been through, and they are extremely in debt. So it burns on every corner.
Yeah.
And having like success on the pitch is so extremely important for a club like this, because, well, these guys are a founder of the Bundesliga, and seeing them on this kind of spot it's hurting my traditional fan feelings.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile in the third league, Mannheim has played 3 matches and they have 1 point.
Yes.
So I won't shed one single tear.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Well, two co-workers of mine are very huge Waldhof Mannheim fans.
Yeah.
And I like both of them, and we always do shit talk all the time when we see each other. And so I felt bad because I just met the coworker, which is Waldhof fan, and he was in Dresden. And to be honest, Mannheim should have won because they had so many good chances, but this is football.
Yeah.
If you want to play good, that's nice, but play ugly and you win. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, but still, if they got relegated, I wouldn't mind as much.
that would give you one more thing to shit talk them to.
Absolutely. But Saarbrücken as well is on the rank 16, so also on the bottom of the table of the third league.
Yeah, let me look here. No, Saarbrücken is in 9th place. They have They have
Oh
4
my
points.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I looked the table up before the game. They had we call it an English week, where they play on Saturday as well as Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I looked it up in advance. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
9.
Yeah, they won 4-3 against Verl yesterday, and then Lubeck beat 1860. So 1860 got bumped down to the 3rd place. But I really hope that they can finally get out of that league.
It needs to happen.
That's the only team that I'm looking at in the 3rd league is 1860. You know, I mean, it's just, I want to see them back with us again, so we can go to away matches together. You know, that's important to me. So, speaking of 3rd league, what did you think of our former friend Carlos Sickinger playing for Elversberg? And he actually played a pretty decent match from what I saw.
I'm always, and I mean, not always, because, well, I would include Orban into this, excluding him. I'm always happy to see former K-Town players, especially when they come from our youth, to see them having a good career, because I wish them all the freaking best. But when they play against us, I want to see them having the worst game. But
it never happens.
Unfortunately,
Florian Pick had a good game against us with Heidenheim. He had that big goal. It seems like they all come back to get us. Although Sickinger didn't really fare into that result, but yeah, I have a photo with him. I think it was the last match in 2019 when they all go around with Carlo.
Oh, Sickinger, okay.
Yeah,
Carlo.
And it's like the last home match of the year where they walk around the whole stadium and shake hands with people. And I have a photo of him reaching out to my hand.
Ah, that is cool.
I think he took a selfie with me once, but I always liked him. I thought he was a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
One of the guys that had been there for a while, you know, from our youth all the way up through.
And as far as I can tell, he is a very, a funny guy. Not funny in a strange way, but funny as laughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny guy, right?
Yeah.
But not strange, you know what I mean? Entertaining guy, and so I always like when players are not just football players, but having some
a human side,
side, and it is always great. I don't know if you, of course, you follow K-Town on Instagram.
Yep.
They have this when the players are bringing the stuff to the training pitch, and they got asked a question, and they have to respond as quickly as possible. And
I've seen this, like your favorite movie or
your favorite movie, or which player is Mummy's darling. That was a good one, and there was I can't remember who said it, but he answered, Zimmer. He's so nice, cute, and cuddly.
Oh, wow. I think I missed that one.
It's pretty new. I guess it was on today or something.
Okay, I'll have to look on... they probably put that on YouTube, I would imagine, too.
I guess so, yeah.
I'll hop on that, but I have a question for you that's been bothering me for a while.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because somebody asked me this question and I couldn't answer it, but
I try my best.
You know, when right before the match starts, every match, both clubs walk out of the cabina with kids.
Yeah,
they're holding their hands and they have the ball. How do those kids get selected to walk out onto the pitch? Is it like a community thing, or is it from a school?
Do you mean which player is going to pick the
Well, how do the kids get selected? Are they?
You mean the team? Actually, these are from football teams around the area, like K-Town area or a little bigger, and these are we call it bambinis. Yeah. These are the very small kids, and they always get you can not propose, not propose. You can put yourself on a list and try to be the team
the
which
field,
gets selected. And there's of course when there's something like when it is Fritz Walter's birthday, okay, then we usually take a team from a kids team from his home team and
like
stuff,
Inkenbach, Alsenborn or something like that. Yeah.
And these get selected like this. It's always like a team from the area.
Yeah. Now, is it the same for the away team? Are they bringing kids from their home region then?
No. They're not bringing them from their home area to the Betzenberg, for example. These are two teams from the area around here.
Okay.
As far as my knowledge goes, and I'm 99.9% sure that it works like this.
Okay.
But when there is like, I remember when there were like that sounds strange but in Germany we have like days like the Women's Day, the Day for Handicapped People, and when we had a Day for Handicapped People, these the kids were all handicapped, but they played in different football teams, but they're inclusive. Like when I would have been young and I play in a football team, and it's not a football team for visually handicapped kids, but I train with them, I play with them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they took like handicapped kids. And I don't know which team. Hang on, give me a second. Was it Bochum or Duisburg? One of them. They took kids from a handicapped school there, and they were all sitting in a wheelchair. So that was a very impressive picture, but I can't remember which team it was. Damn it. But it looked so extremely cool, because seeing these kids so emotional is so great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because we also have, like, you know, this in front of the Südtribüne, all our wheelchaired friends and fellows. This is so great and important to make them. I'm sorry that I laugh. I have to tell you this, to include them. But hang on, I guess it was Barcelona. Okay, they rebuilt their stadium and they put it up on a new video wall. Okay, and behind the video wall, there were seats.
And that's where they put the handicapped people.
The blind people. No freaking joke. I mean it.
They don't need to see anything anyway,
absolutely,
right?
I'm absolutely honest. But they got like a huge shitstorm, and I read a comment which said like, I don't care. The tickets are for free. They always give it handed out to a school there which has like blind students, and I read a comment which said, I don't care. I don't see anything. I don't care if there's a video wall or anything in front of me, but I feel the mood and the spirit of the stadium. But I think this is so great. Like, okay, let's put up a video wall, but what are we going to do with the seats behind it? No problem. We have blind people.
Yeah, we'll put them there.
Put them there.
That would be like
so nice.
Like the VR headsets. Have you ever actually had like a VR headset on your head before?
Oh, you mean VR? Yes, I have. Yes.
That would be like, hey, we're coming up with this really cool inclusive idea. We're gonna have this multi-million-dollar VR headset, and we're gonna give them to the blind people, so they can really experience the match like they were there. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, funny story right there. Last Friday when we played against Elversberg, I was running a little late for the train, so I unfortunately, my visuals got worse and worse, of course, as I told before. And now I have to walk with the white stick. The how do you call this?
I don't know the term.
We call it the blind stick.
The whacking stick. You're just whacking people with it. Get out of the way.
Yeah, and I was walking faster because I need to get to the freaking train station to make it on time to the 12 man. Okay, and I was walking faster than usual, and I was waving my stick. Oh my God! What the fuck did I just say?
You're wagging your stick.
Oh my God, it's getting too late over here. No, and I was
We're talking about the plastic stick, people,
yes.
not the other stick.
And then I accidentally, there was walking a very old woman, and I hit her. Unfortunately, I hit her feet.
Oh, okay, I was like, and did you like whack her in the butt? And she's like, "Oh,
no,
Sonny, I haven't seen that in a while."
just on the foot, because well, you put it on the ground and you go back and forth if there's something in your way, like a pole or something. And I hit her, unfortunately. And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm terribly sorry. That was my fault." And she turned around and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you." And I was looking at her and saying, "Oh, what a coincidence! I didn't saw you." And then we both laughed. Like
teamwork makes the dream work, people.
That was really funny. No kidding. That was extremely funny. And then I made it on time to the train station, and no fucking joke, the announcer, "The train is coming 5 minutes later." Oh, fuck you. I would have
walked. Of course. Yeah.
I was sweating like everywhere. Like my completely shirt was wet.
Your sweat was sweating.
Yes, exactly. I got the sweat drops on my sweat drops. And then I could have walked regularly.
Yeah.
But then, let me tell you, the first beer in the 12 man tasted twice as good.
Now, do you know what a metronome is?
Yes, of course. Like,
it's that little... I can imagine your stick sounding like a metronome in like a fast, like...
Yeah, but actually, when like 20 to 25 years ago, you need to go like this. When here's the ground, okay, you go like this with your stick. You have to always put it up and make like an arc.
Yeah,
and put it
bounce it back and forth. Yeah.
But now they have like a small, like a ballish thing, which is just connected to the stick, and you can leave it on the ground and go like this, because it's moving. So you don't do this. You don't need to do this arc thing, which is very, very, very unpleasant for your ankle.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this is extremely helpful. So
now, see, I'm trying to put myself in a position where I'm using a stick, and my stick somehow ends up between the legs of an attractive woman, and it goes up the leg into the undercarriage. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. It's got a mind of its own. Sorry, never mind.
Are you the how do you from Spaceballs, the dog guy thing?
Oh yeah, a barf.
Yeah, the friend.
Yeah, with the tail. Yeah, barf.
It has his own head. But funny thing here is, I was walking back from work, and we have like special. How do you call it? Like on the ground, these plates which are covering the ground to make it even. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like a manhole cover, right?
No. How do you call it? Like in the streets, you don't have like always tar, but sometimes these are rocks like this size.
Okay, like they're blocks. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have special ones which have like bumps on top. And it's for visually handicapped people to use their blind stick, and when you pass over it, you can feel that you're in the middle of the section where you're allowed to walk. It's the
Okay.
same thing, and on train stations there are always like this things, the white lines.
Mm-hmm.
These are always riffled, and you can feel this with the blind stick.
Oh yeah,
And
they're made to grab like a traction kind of
exactly,
thing, so it would
and
like drag.
it helps
over.
the blind
Yeah.
people. So
Yep.
and I was walking back home from work, and I hit someone, and unfortunately it was a policeman. And he turned around and he was really angry, like, what is going on? Oh my god, I'm terribly sorry, it was my fault, I was standing in the way. I was like, oh no, I'm sorry, I don't want to hurt you. He was like, no, I'm sorry that I was so angry, but we're looking for someone. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm looking for something. Oh, what? The way home.
Yeah.
Then we laughed, and I kept walking. So I can say I hit a cop with a stick. And it wasn't on purpose. I guarantee.
Speaking of cops, if there's this fantastic video out there, you and I have talked about it this week, but it's about the one-person fan march for
Yes.
FC Heidenheim.
No, Hoffenheim.
Hoffenheim, sorry. The one-man fan march with
Yes.
the one cop that has to stop traffic for him. And if you haven't seen this video, do a search for it. I think it's just called Fan March Hoffenheim.
Hoffenheim, yeah.
Yeah.
I can try to look it up and put it in the comments.
Yeah. The video is great. It's a reporter saying, "Oh, it's time for the annual fan march," and the cop's like, "Well, I'm here to maintain order." And you hear like the chants of like a supporting section of a stadium. And he's like, "All right, here they come," and it's just this one guy waving a flag, and he leaves the city out into the cornfield, and completely leaves the city behind where he was supposed to go. He's like, yeah, every year it's a tradition, me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
It's the best thing every year. And then he gets to the stadium, and he reaches it out, and I think he's singing like "Wir sind Hoffenheim."
Yeah.
And the cop's like, whoa, 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 and he pops it, and it blows the cop's hat off. a gender reveal confetti cannon.
But not his head, like his hat.
Yeah, his hat.
To make this clear. that is
verboten, colleague.
Yeah, this is what he says.
Throws it down to the ground.
Yeah, that is a very, very funny clip. I highly recommend Wums. It's spelled WUMBS. It makes always fun of football fans and football culture itself, and these guys have something which a fan of this and this team would never say. And they also got one for K-Town. And there was one thing like, oh, do you remember Fritz Walter? Yes, of course. He was one of the best attackers Waldhof Mannheim ever had. A K-Town fan would never say something like this. Or do you remember Otto Rehagel? Yes, he made the impossible possible. He became European champion with Greece. So all these stuff which
you have to send me that video for the K-Town one. Is that an older one or?
It is a little older, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to find that.
Also, like here's for the Germans. It's like auf Betze, geh mal nunna, because auf Betze, let's go down, not going up. Because we say, geh mal nuf auf der Betze, so let's go up the Betzenberg, Betze, geh mal nunna. Let's go down. So that was, they have it for Dortmund, for Bayern Munich, for Werder Bremen, for Kaiserslautern, for so many teams, and they do such a good job, and they're so passionate in recollecting like all these memories, and they're doing. I highly recommend watching this.
Now, is the joke from this last video, is that based on the small supporting group that this
Yes,
this
of
club
course.
has. Yeah.
Come on. Hoffenheim is in the first league, I think, for, let's say, 10 to 13 years. I have no idea. I have to look it up, but I don't want to. Because, well, it's Hoffenheim. And still, no one really cares about them. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate every fan which loves their club. But when it comes to, like, these plastic clubs, I have, like, my problems with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't have like a real ultra scene, no real extreme football scene, nothing like this. So
just this one guy, I guess.
Not just no, they have more, of course, but yeah, not you can't compare it to K-Town, to Frankfurt, to Dortmund, to anything from the Ruhrpott, to Dresden or Magdeburg or something. This is impossible.
Another part of that video that I found was funny was when he had that big it was a Matzes, a big mug of beer, and he was in the cornfield and he was saying like, "Hier regiert the TSG."
Yeah, but you have to remember what it is. Yeah.
That was definitely a video that I watched on repeat all throughout the day.
Bro, I've been once in the stadium and we had a cup for beer, and it was all the players' names written on it. And when it comes to the starting 11, he was standing there with number 1. And he looked it up on the cup.
On the cup, yeah.
And yelled his name. And then he was refocusing on the cup. But to be honest, my brother, no kidding, he used to use cards where he put like the number and the first name on one side and on the other side the last name, that he could remember all the names.
Oh, wow.
I should do the freaking same thing because I'm terribly with names. But when it comes to names, we were you just mentioned it, we got two new players. And but on the other side, 2 players are gone now.
Yeah.
Bühning left, and Chifchi.
Yeah.
Bühning left towards Dresden, and I wish him all the very best. But well, he wasn't a huge number in our team. He played like, I think it was like 6 times or something. So yeah. But Chifchi is a huge loss, if you ask me. Yeah. Because I was always a huge fan of him. He was coming from our youth, and now he's gone. But all the very best for both of them.
He was kind of like the guy that fell in the cracks and kind of like got forgotten and left behind. And the new coach kind of developed a pattern not involving him, and over time, like his functionality on the team became non-existent.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's kind of like, not that they let him go because he wasn't talented, but his strong points didn't match our needs.
That is perfectly said, and I absolutely agree. But still, I'm sorry for him because I was always a huge fan of Chifchi.
Yeah, I used to see him when I lived in K-Town. I lived in Stadtpark there, close to the Hauptbahnhof, and would go one end would go all the way down into the Altstadt, and then if I would go up and around it, I would go to the train station and up to the stadium. But there was it was a Turkish cafe, like Chimichi Cafe or something, in the Marktstraße in K-Town. And it was a Turkish cafe / like restaurant. I would see him there at least once a week. I would see him at this this hookah lounge right out front of the Sachs Hotel near the Altstadt. I think his friend ran it, and I would always see him there. and always say hi to him. And I got a couple selfies with him, and just the nicest guy.
He's a very nice guy.
Very humble, very
Grounded.
what I would call approachable.
Approachable, yeah.
Like if you see like this multi-million-dollar player, you'd be like, oh, I don't want to disturb him. But like to me, he was just another guy in the city that happened to play football, you know. And I would walk up to him and congratulate if he played a good game. I'd say, yeah, man, you looked really good, you know, this past week. And he was just one of the guys that you would see in the community all the time.
Yep.
You know. So yeah, it sucked because he was one of the last players that I said goodbye to before I left K-Town to come back to Cleveland was Hikmet. And I saw him. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm going back home in like 4 weeks. And he's like, yeah, are you gonna miss K-Town? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm gonna fucking miss it, dude. I'm gonna miss the city. I'm gonna miss watching you guys play every week. And he was very, very happy that I became a dollar card holder. You know, for people that don't know, a dollar card is what we call a season ticket.
Season ticket, yeah.
And he was part of the team that I cheered for in the third league. Yeah, exactly. Yep. But I know he's gonna land. He's gonna land on his feet somewhere.
Of course.
Turkish national team, probably.
I guess so. Give him like 1 or 2 more years, and he will definitely be part of it. And all the very best for him. Really, all the very best for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, tonight, again, match day, or today is match day.
Yep.
What are your prediction? What is your prediction?
I want to see a draw. I want a point. I would love to see 3. I try, you know, now that this is our second year in the second league, you know, it's going to be a lot more difficult. We're not going to catch anybody by surprise anymore.
Yep.
But from what I've seen in the Pokal match and the last match against Elversberg, I think things are coming together. So if I'm going to give a tip, I'm going to say 3-2 Kaiserslautern again.
Okay.
That's going to be my tip.
Okay.
So we'll see.
As always, I'm not going to tip us, but I would sign it. I would sign your tip.
Yeah.
Let's just have a good game, a game where we show that we would love to play football and to love to play passionate, and with all we got. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, brother. Thank you once again for this awesome Talking K-Town. It was a huge pleasure as always. It was funny as always. And I'm always looking forward to these videos. And the next one is upcoming after the match against Nürnberg.
And as a, I guess you would say, as a shout out to our one Hoffenheim fan.
Shout out.
Hier, regiert the FC.
But I think we can remember our name way easier. Okay, brother. Then I got my beer's empty, so just a bro fist here.
Both of mine are done, so
mine as well.
Yep.
Okay, brother.
So wir sehen uns auf der Couch.
Auf der Couch. Bis dann. Tschüss.
Tschüss.